But I also think we got to be honest and realistic that we're going to have to see something at some point, dude. Like, we're going to have to see like some remnants of a jump or promise that he can at least be a better shooter or a better offensive player than he has been. And I'm not saying that we need to see that this summer league, but when we leave this summer league, I hope we at least have some signs of hope for Killian going into this season. I hope we have at least like one moment offensively or scoring wise where he does have that opportunity, because even though we are here for Jaden Ivey and for Jalen Duren and for these rookies, and that's ultimately what summer league's all about in the grand scheme of things, at the same time, you want to see your guys develop and shine and do things with these minutes. What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Sunday, July 10th. I am your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Jeff Frady. Jeff, what it do, baby? How's it going?
Oh, it's going good, man. We got to see Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren game one, and now we're getting into the middle of summer league, and it's exciting because Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren both look good. They really did, man.
Yeah, without a doubt. And by the time this video comes out, we'll have already seen game 2 of these guys as well against the Washington Wizards. But let's have a conversation, Jeff, and talk about some of the main takeaways that we can have from game 1 of NBA Summer League, because this is what we do on From Half Court. If you do not know, we make content here each and every week on the Woodward Sports channel, but also throughout the week on our personal channel From Half Court. So go check that out after this video. But Jeff, let's start right away with probably takeaway number 1 from the Pistons Summer League performance. And I think what I learned from Jaden Ivey was that our scouting report was spot on. Like, he is insanely fast, but sometimes that speed can work against him. His shot at times looks great. His shot at times isn't. But overall, had a really solid game and showed the foundations of being a damn good NBA player.
He looked like a rookie. He looked like things that you need to improve on. There's things that you love. And Dwayne Casey kind of hit on this on the broadcast too. Like, you'd much rather have to pull a player back than to force him to speed up. Like with Jaden Ivey, he moves at an incredible pace. You saw the athleticism. His speed is the first thing I noticed with the basketball. He looks, a little bit like Derrick Rose and John Moran, Dwayne Wade. Like that first step speed, he really is so quick. I get it, Summer League. I mean, most of these guys won't make rosters, but that'll translate. Another thing that'll translate is the rebounding. The playmaking too, like that underrated playmaking with Jaden Ivey. He's such a great passer. I know he didn't show a ton of it at Purdue, but I think in the NBA with the spacing, it's just going to benefit him so much. And the shot, inconsistent. I know he hit one that didn't count because he did the Steph Curry leg spread, but he splashed one from like 30-something feet. I love what I saw out of him. I mean, 6 for 14. I told you I wasn't going to look at percentages. It was going to be how he got to his spots, and he did a good job. In transition, he's a monster. I know in the half court, there's going to be things he's going to have to learn, but in transition, like it's over, man. Like he's just way faster than everybody else on the court. So that's kind of what I took away is the athleticism. The defensively, I know there was times where he was missing a beat, but then also the potential. I mean, 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. He's got all the tools to be great. That's really what I was looking for. Just seeing him on an NBA floor. Like, does he belong? And he did, absolutely. So it was awesome to see him out against Shaedon Sharpe, who left after 6 minutes. I got to admit.
Got injured. He literally got a shoulder injury, got one sweet jump shot up, and then otherwise was on the bench. So, like, I thought that was the most fitting Summer League performance that we possibly could have gotten from Shaedon Sharpe, because yet again, we learned nothing about Shaedon Sharpe. But
absolutely.
But sticking to Jaden Ivey for a second, you talk about his speed, and the thing that like really blew me away about his movement is just how controlled his speed can be. And I think the best version of Jaden Ivey is going to be one that knows when to switch it on and when to slow it down. And he was even talking about that, in his post-game press conference, and has talked about that throughout, how in college, he really just went 100% speed the entire time because he's faster than everybody. But in the NBA, you're going to be around a ton of athletes too, and the game itself is going to speed up. And I think you saw a lot of that in the first half with Jaden Ivey. I mean, let's be honest, he was nervous. I mean, you could tell, and he admitted it, right? I mean, like it's game one of summer league. Of course, you're going to be nervous, and so he's coming out in the first half trying to do a lot, make a lot of things happen with his athleticism, and he was slipping and falling and turned over the ball a few times. But in the second half, he was he was accelerating in the half court. He was controlling his speed. He was more dynamic with it. And I think another thing that you saw with Jaden Ivey's game that is an underrated aspect for this Pistons team going into this season, not just his ability to score when he drives inside, but his ability to play make to his teammates as well from the interior. He has such an ability to kick it out to his teammates and get it to open guys on the paint. We talk about how important Cade's playmaking is going to be for this team. Jaden Ivey's a playmaker too.
Yeah, and we talked about it as well. Like, what happens when Cade leaves the floor? Now you got a guy who can make plays at the rim. And that was one thing I was honestly surprised. I mean, he looked more controlled. I mean, he's a rookie, but as soon as he got to the rim with his burst of speed, he had a plan. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't just go up there then try and figure it out. Like, he's already like, all right, I'm going to kick it to the corner, drop it off. You saw the first, play of the game was a lob to Jalen Duren. So he's got those playmaking skills that I'm excited to see because I know him and Cade and Killian, and even Killian looked pretty good too. I know a lot of people are crapping on him for not being aggressive, but that's a whole nother story with Killian Hayes. But with Jaden Ivey,
we'll get to that in a couple minutes.
Yeah, we'll address that because I really do want to talk about that. But with Jaden Ivey, though, the nervousness was there. I mean, you saw it. I mean, dude, you're coming into a team that you wanted to go to. You have all the connections. His mom's watching him play, which was awesome. His mom was cheering him on every step of the way. But honestly, it's the confidence with Jaden Ivey. I think he just bleeds it, man. Like, he just goes out there like, I'm going to dominate. And you saw it, 26-6, his first summer league game. And he took on the challenge. He was even D'ing up before Shane Sharp was injured. There was parts where he was getting into him, getting physical with him. So I love the competitiveness, man, and the explosiveness. All that stuff's going to translate. I'm not too worried about the shot. I mean, it was inconsistent. He missed a couple shots that were way off. Then he knocked a couple down. That stuff it'll fix itself. Like, I'm not too worried about the percentages. It's just how he looks. Does he look like he belongs? And absolutely he did.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. And it was really that second half, especially him in clutch time, really using his ability to drive to the paint. That was really a dagger as well. So, I mean, yeah, just overall great performance for Jaden Ivey. It was great to see him. But also, let's talk about our other first-round pick because, Jeff, man, Jalen Duren. Let's get one thing out of the way because we don't want to overreact. We only saw 12 minutes, right? We only saw 12 minutes. But Jeff, this guy ain't going to be in the G League ever. Like, this guy's not going to be in the G League ever.
This is what me and Sean were speculating. We wanted to see him in the summer league, and my God, Sean, like, physically, he's physically imposing. Like, he is a grown-ass man at 18 years old. And I got to acknowledge this, too. When he came out there, Isaiah Stewart spoke about it. He said he's like a bigger me, coming out. Imagine a bigger Isaiah Stewart. And he played with the passion he played with.
In addition, Isaiah Stewart's first response to when he saw Jalen Duren on the court was, shit. That's the first thing he thought. If Isaiah Stewart's first thought is, oh shit. That's that tells you, man. That just tells you how scary it is. Pardon my French, but it's important for the context. But in addition, man, when Beef Stew, his ability to stretch the court, we'll get to that in a minute too. But Jalen Duren, just his presence in the paint, the lob ability that, like, they talked about the Sean Kemp type athleticism, and you could just see as well that, like, the way he attacks the ball, he attacks the rim on both ends of the court. It's truly, this guy could potentially be one of the best centers in the NBA one day. Like, I truly believe that. It's insane.
Yeah, he's only going to get better. And there's parts of his game I don't even think he's tapped into yet that he can unlock. So with Jalen Duren, my God, watching him last night or 2 nights ago prior, the guy just looked bigger than at 18 years old. He was on that court moving guys around, and that's what I wanted to look at. Like, how does he look? Is he I know he's physically imposing looking at him, but how does he look? What does he look like in the summer league? That'll help us determine, does he need the G League? And when he went out there, man, he was moving guys around. He was getting second chance points. He was just being a good lobs. He's catching lobs like we talked about. So if he can do all those things in the regular season, like, he'll see minutes for sure. He's not going to go to the G League.
Well,
Certainly the Pistons need a guy like Jalen Duren. The things he can bring to this team, they were lacking last year. He's going to fill a lot of holes. And now that we'll talk about Isaiah Stewart in a minute, but now that he can stretch the floor, these lineups you can make are just,
yeah.
You can make so many different lineups with these guys.
Oh, without a doubt. And Isaiah Stewart brought up how, the Pistons are looking ultimately, ideally, to play a two big system. So the secret is, people are talking about, what are we going to do at the power forward spot? It's looking like Isaiah Stewart, if he can consistently hit the three, very well could be a great answer at the four. And a lot of Isaiah Stewart critics who are coming out of the woods saying that they might have been a little bit too quick to criticize this guy because of his three-point shooting ability and how he's stretching that out. But Jeff, this isn't new. He's been doing this since the end of the season. So just to see the continuation of it in this game now, but also even some of the other improvements this guy's made already. I mean, even Isaiah Stewart's ball handling looked significantly better. Like, we talk about like all these other guys in the core, but like, people need to realize Isaiah Stewart is just as much a part of this core as Cade Cunningham is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody, when they look at a part of a core, it's like, are you a 20-point scorer? Like, I hate that. Like, Isaiah Stewart is going to bring so many different things defensively, offensively. He's going to do the little things. And you talk about the shooting. I mean, I've been watching. I watched Isaiah Stewart a little bit in high school, too, before he went to Washington, the University of Washington. He can shoot. He just, when he got to the Pistons, that wasn't his role. Like, he's not going to be out there jacking up threes, especially at the NBA level. But to your point, Sean, now that he's built upon that, and I think Troy Weaver knew he could do it, he's increased his value. Like that, a guy who's 6'8", who plays as physical as he does down low, but can step out and hit threes, there's a place for him. And he can switch 5 positions. Like, guys, whoever says there's no place for Isaiah Stewart, I'm going to be nice, but you're not very smart. All right.
Well,
because the things he can bring are needed.
To the landscape of the league, because literally how many guys in the Boston Celtics, I mean, even Al, he was even saying he was watching a lot of film on Al Horford in his game in Boston, and looking at how he played his role and filled in multiple different areas. So Isaiah Stewart potentially could be looking to play that Al Horford role, which, Jeff, you and I talked about on the channel, how that could be a huge thing for the Pistons. So be on the lookout for that, because Isaiah Stewart is definitely an X factor to this team's success. Speaking of an X factor, Killian Hayes, definitely an X factor to what the Pistons can do going forward. And overall, he had a good game, but I think the consensus is that we were kind of collectively hoping for more from Killian. Maybe that box score wasn't the flashy box score that people were hoping for, but Jeff, what did you think of Killian's performance? Were you disappointed, or where did you land?
When I first watched the game initially, I think I just had too high of expectations. Everybody seems to forget, and this goes back to my previous point, not everybody's going to score 15 points a game. Like, Killian Hayes brings so much other things to his game. Like, he makes the right play every single time. I don't think Killian looks at it like, I'm getting trapped, I'm going to try and break through this and try and score. He's going to make the right play. And I think people get so lost in that. Like, against the Portland Trail Blazers, he didn't have a ton of scoring opportunities. Right. He made the right play when he had to. And I guess people would love to see him take a 15-footer over 2 defenders, but instead he'd rather, make the right play and pass to the open man. So I think that's where people get lost. It's like they look at the box score and they're like, damn, I want Killian to be more aggressive. But when you have Saban Lee on the court and you have, a 5th overall pick, Jay Ivey, who has a lot to prove, it's just hard for Killian to go out there and be like, hey, I'm him, give me the ball. So he's just making the right play. He really is.
He's making the right play, but I think it's just the idea that this is kind of the stage for him to assert himself more.
And that's true. That's true.
And to take more of those opportunities. And we can we can say like all of these things about Killian's game because there are a lot of great things about Killian's game. And I want to acknowledge that. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer about Killian. But I also think we got to be honest and realistic that we're going to have to see something at some point, dude. Like we're going to have to see like some remnants of a jump or promise that he can at least be a better shooter or a better offensive player than he has been. And I'm not saying that we need to see that this summer league, but when we leave this summer league, I hope we at least have some signs of hope for Killian going into this season. I hope we have at least like one moment offensively or scoring wise where he does have that opportunity, because even though we are here for Jaden Ivey and for Jalen Duren and for these rookies, and that's ultimately what summer league's all about in the grand scheme of things, at the same time, you want to see your guys develop and shine and do things with these minutes. And, you know, with Killian, without him having Cade and Sadiq on the court, this is the golden opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he took 4 shots, 3 of them were threes. I think that's why people also, it's like he's settling in a way.
Right.
But I think there's plenty of left that Killian will show. It's just, it's game one. The opportunities didn't present themselves, and we'll see. But you're right, Sean. I want Killian to be more aggressive. I think that's bottom line. This isn't the regular season, Killian. You don't have to be aggressive at the cost of your team winning. It's summer league. Like, go out there and shoot 10 times. Like, I'll be okay with it. So to your point, if everybody's talking about him being the 6th man, I think it's important for him to go out and just be a dog, man. I get you want to make the right play, but let's go. Killian can do it. It's just, I think it's really a mindset thing. It's like a confidence issue, but that's all it is.
Exactly. And you know, this is the time and the most free, open place for him to try and have those opportunities. But with that, what did you think of Summer League Game 1? What did you think of Summer League Game 2? Let us know in the comment section down below. We're super excited to watch that and talk a whole lot about that as well on the From Half Court channel. We're even going to be doing watch alongs for upcoming summer leagues, so be sure to be tuning into that as well. But with that, thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to Woodward Sports for more Detroit and sports-based content. We are taking over the game, mother. So be sure you subscribe. But with that, we want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.